whenever stuff like this just sails through smoothly, I'm like, did you do it right?
This is too good to be true.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our hacking series where we code a virtual bookshelf, this season using Next.js and SuperBase, hosted on the Vercel CDN and everything production ready. That's our topic. My name is Nils, co-founder at Dingy, and with me is Judith.
Hello. Good to be back.
Last week, we got a little bit super excited.
Super excited.
About the starter template that you had found on, this is actually in the Vercel directory, right? Like we went onto Vercel, selected the official Supabase and Next.js template, and basically, followed the buttons to click and got massively excited about what happened. Where did we leave off? And what are we going to do today?
Yeah, so last week basically turned into a love song for Vercel. I think that was unexpected, but I think we were really blown away by the amazing developer experience. So we kind of clicked through that template creation process on Vercel's homepage, and yeah, now we are left with like this boilerplate project, which is a Next.js project using, well, obviously Next.js, but also Supabase, Tailwind CSS, and ChatCN. So all of the things we wanted to use anyway, we literally got at the click of a button, including the GitHub repository and the Supabase project. So that is where we are now. And then, yeah, there's like a bunch of boilerplate code and like some basic layout for the application that Vercel suggested, I guess, as a starting point. And then we saw that they have like some little tasks for us, checkboxes you can check. And I think today we're just gonna go through these steps and see what they propose, how to proceed with building this application. And then in the first season of our show, we already created a database on Supabase to store our books. So what we're building is like a bookshelf application. So we have books. And today the goal would be to recreate that table in our new SSR app.
Very cool. Let's do it. All right. Here we are. This is where we left it off last week. Let me close the console for a second. I'm still logged in locally. So this is one of the cool components that I really like about the ready-made integration of Next.js and Supabase, that we're running on localhost and we can still just like save the login right here. And then we're signed in, and these are the steps that you mentioned, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, and so maybe we can look at this briefly if we open up the inspector here, our file tree. So if you ever started a Next.js project, there's the app folder. We have the newest and greatest routing system going on here. We have the components folder where we already can see like a couple, like the Next.js logo. That's always good to have. The Supabase logo too, but we also have useful stuff like a submit button, theme switcher. We have like the header with auth over here, stuff like that, right? And I really like that they tucked away the tutorial components in a tutorial folder. Isn't that just very nice?
That's very nice, yeah.
Right? They have like an inline code. There's something interesting here.
Yeah.
Oh no, but this is just like, they're literally mentioning that. Okay, I thought there was some magic going on.
Yeah. I didn't know that syntax, but yeah, makes sense.
All right, and then we have stuff that is probably from ChatCN, right? Badge, button, checkbox.
Yeah, that looks very much like ChatCN.
Yeah, they're getting
Although
like
they seem to import it directly from Radix UI.
Shatsy and work that way that whenever you got something in, that it actually creates the file in your file tree, right? So
Exactly.
maybe
So it's not a dependency, so not something you install with npm or something, but you essentially just copy the component into your code base. And there's a command line interface that does it for you, but you could also just go ahead and copy the code.
And do you think that's what happened here? That these are actually...
Oh yeah, you're completely right. So everything that's in that UI folder, those are basically the Shatsian components, I would say.
Cool.
And then those use Radix UI.
All right. Also, quick shout out. I'm a little bit of a freak with my VS Code setup. First of all, it's on the right side. I know that's weird. But especially what freaks people out is, and I have this since over half a year now, I personally love it a lot. The sorting is a little bit funky, that always the files are always first. Like they always come up top, so to say. And then you have the folders last. It's and so usually I think it's just like everything, no matter if it's a file or if it's a folder, is in alphabetical order. But there's this option to switch it around, and I really like that it groups these things up. But yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
I picked it up from another YouTuber, of course. And I tried it for a week, and at first it totally freaked me out. But I have to say that I really like it because it somehow gives me visual clarity that I know that all of these are going to be a file, and then it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Makes sense.
so we have a bunch of stuff going on here. That is very cool. And yeah, just for super transparency's sake, like the only thing I did here is the regular npm run dev that spins up Next.js 15.01 in our case, puts it on the regular port 3000, and here we are. So let's look at the first step they suggest, right?
Yeah.
Create some tables and insert some data.
Let's do it.
Sounds good to me. They mean here on supabase.com?
I would think so, yeah.
Oh. Create table nodes. Judith, what do you want to do? You're better with these things.
I'm not too picky.
Are we going to make like a demo thing? Or are we just going to create our table from season 1?
We're gonna create our books table, I think.
Awesome. Cool.
Let's do it in the UI, maybe. So if you go to database, yes.
I have tables, functions, triggers. Oh, there's so many cool things in Supabase.
So I have a new table button on the database tables page. Do you not have that?
No. Why not? Hold on. Maybe window is too small. No.
Can you change that schema? You're seeing tables for a specific schema now, I think. No, a little bit further down, it says schema vault.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And yeah, maybe just select public.
Public.
Yeah. And then you can click on new table.
But hold on. What was that? Like, what is all of this stuff? So auth, well, all right, that's probably all of the stuff we're not supposed to touch. Currently viewing from a protected schema, all right. And that applies probably to many things that are in here. This is just everything they have on Supabase, but that they made automatically, right?
Yeah.
Like all of the stuff that,
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And Vault, I was on Vault, and that was a similar thing.
Yeah.
Secrets, all right. Okay, now I'm with you. Okay, public, new table.
New table.
What should I put in here?
We call it books.
Very cool.
Cool. And then we're going to keep those two auto-generated columns, I would say. ID created at. That makes sense.
Are we going to do this enable row level security that is recommended to us?
I think so, yeah. So we're going to create the table first, and then we will probably notice that we can't query data or write data to it. And yeah, for that we need to set up one of those policies. But we've done that in season 1, so maybe we can still do it. But let's add the columns first. So first one we have is the title, which is of type text.
Right on. Do you want anything here? Like
that's not too
default
important.
value? No,
I think, what did we say about nullable? I would say the title should be the only thing that's not nullable, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think everything
book without
else,
a title is kind of boring.
Exactly. I think everything else can be optional. Then we have the author, which is also text.
Author is also text. Cool.
That's nullable, right? I think. Yeah. Then we have the publication year.
Publication. Do I go underscore?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And in our previous table, that was an int 8.
All right. Int 8.
Then we have 2 more text columns, which are description and personal notes.
Description and personal notes. Yeah. Oh, I can just test, but I can just type to filter. I love when people make stuff in this very nice way. Okay.
And last but not least, rating, which is another int 8.
Rating. Int 8. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Description, personal notes, rating.
Looks good. So, yeah, maybe you can try creating it. Yeah.
Pow.
Wow.
This is, I mean, like, I just thought this is probably something you get if you set up a project in different ways as well, right? Like we have this other project where we're working with Drizzle, and it also, you can start this local visual DB inspector and so on. And I really love that. And I'm so happy that we have it here as well. And I think this is even one step further to me, because it feels like you have everything database related in this very nice interface.
Yeah.
And this is probably like a designer's bias, but it makes me a little bit less afraid of databases.
You don't have to do this via SQL queries. You can, obviously, that's what's happening underneath the hood, but you can use the UI. I never liked this kind of paradigm that coders who like using UI are somehow worse engineers than those who only live in the terminal. I think like this is great. That's a great user interface. Why not use it?
I agree. And I mean, they even want you, like they are giving you the SQL.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
right? Like
we could have done the same thing for our table. No big deal.
Exactly. Yeah, but so, I mean, there's so many different roles in front end. Even you and I have like a little bit different of a profile, I would say. And so, like, like from the colorful world of Nils's design engineering perspective, I'm very happy that there's like a green button that doesn't look scary and says, "You want a new table?" And I'm like, I guess so.
Yes.
And it just, doesn't ask me like a million questions. It just tells me, you want to enable security? It's probably a good idea. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. It's like these small things that I really like.
Totally. So now if you go back to this, what's it called? The table editor view. Yeah, there you have your books table. It's empty for now. I sent you a CSV. You can maybe try to import that just with like the data we had from season 1, just to make sure we have some books in our table.
Sure. All right. So I have the data. I'm just gonna, I guess,
Yep,
drag and drop it here. Let's do it. Books rows.
looks good. And it's not complaining. Usually at this step, if like your CSV is in a different format than the table, I think it would already complain, but it looks good.
I'm just laughing because like this is usually the step where stuff goes wrong, right? Like I don't know, it's like whenever stuff like this just sails through smoothly, I'm like, did you do it right?
This is too good to be true.
Exactly. Let's not jinx it. Importing the data. Awesome. And it even has our, well, we probably needed 37 tries in the first season to get data in our database. That's cool.
Busted. Nice. So that looks good. Now we could do things either way. We could either try the next step, which they ask us to do, which is query Supabase data from Next.js. It will not work because of this row level security thing. But it might be interesting to see that it does in fact not work. And then we can add the row level security and hopefully it will work then. What do you think?
I would say let's do it. Like they say query data.
Yeah.
Let's query data.
Let's query data.
Because from my perspective, I would actually expect this to work because,
Do you think they did more magic in the background?
No, well, like the way I look at it was like, oh, okay, up till here. So we could make a user. I could log in. They give me new steps as soon as I'm logged in. So this should probably work,
Let's try it. Exactly. If we hadn't used Supabase before, we wouldn't know anything about this row level security thing. So we would just go ahead and try exactly what they're asking us to do there. So let's give it a go. And then we can see if it works. So
cool. But we are also at a crossroad, Judith. I don't know. I think this is maybe worth 2 minutes of this episode's time.
Okay.
Because we are at the crossroad of server side or client side. So to create a Supabase client, query data from an async server component. What? Or use a client component. Well, so we touched on this before. I mean, we are actually running a project on Next.js in this paradigm too. Like at Dingy, we built like a lot of things with SvelteKit that I think has a similar paradigm. What I'm always wondering is like when we say use client, is it only the client or is it still server-side rendered? Do you know that?
I'm not sure. I used to think that use client really means that it's a client-side rendered component.
Yeah.
But I recently read somewhere that it's still like a weird mix of things. And for the question now, what do we want to use now? I think there's this rule of thumb that anything that has like user interaction, any component that has user interaction elements should be a client-side component. So, right? So if you have like a button to click or some sort of form or input, that would usually be client-side. I personally would love to keep the data fetching on the server side. Like just looking at this use effect down there,
right?
It doesn't make me happy. What do you think? So I would say, so let's probably think about what we're going to use or what we're going to do with that data once we fetch it. So we are on our main page. We will fetch all the books, and then what do we do? Like in the previous version of our app, we had these little card components to display all the books, right? And then probably you can click either on the entire card or on some sort of button within the card to navigate to a detail view of the book.
Right.
Right. Either way, I would say we could do the data fetching right now in a server-side component And then the child components, the cards could still be client side if we wanted them to be clickable, for instance. Then that would be a client component.
Gotcha. So what I remembered from SvelteKit land is if you need some sort of bearer token or any sort of sensitive authentication piece, and you're trying to pull that, so the SvelteKit makes a difference between private and public environment variables.
Yeah.
And if you're on the client and you're trying to import a private environment variable,
Yeah.
then it gives you a no. Then it's
Good.
like screams at you. It's like,
Yes.
no, dangerous, and
Yes.
so on. So I'm sort of looking at this code and am wondering, what about the row level security and the use client? You know, like this is stuff that I'm currently not super sure about.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out, eh?
Yeah, that would be nice, I think, here if Vercel had maybe given us a little bit more context to say, like, these are the two options and these are kind of the pros and cons you might want to consider. But I think for us right now, the first one would be the way to go. So creating a server-side component, or basically just, replacing what we currently have in the main page with the content of that first code block.
Awesome.
So maybe,
Alright.
maybe just try copying that and we will see what happens.
So we are on /protected, right? Like that means that's like the logged in homepage, right?
Which I also don't love, to be honest.
That it's called /protected.
Yeah. What do you think? Do we want to keep that?
No. I guess you're as the user, you would kind of assume that your stuff is protected, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
so okay, let's rename this and let's call it books. That's what it is, right? We can still make up our minds. Let's see. But so
Yeah.
does this work now? Totally works. So as long learning Next.js 15 together, as long as it doesn't say use client at the top, then it's a server component, right?
Yes.
So this right now, this whole thing is a server component. This
Yes.
page, books page, TSX, that's a server component. And that, right?
Yes. With like one small exception or addition, maybe. I think
Yeah.
child components of client components are always client components.
Ooh.
I think so. Do you know that? Did I
No.
dream this?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I don't know if the app will yell at you if you don't make the child of a client component also a client component, or if it will just silently turn it into a client component.
Oh, that I also don't know.
I don't know. But that's, I think, something to keep in mind, especially when we think about this like card component. Do we want it to be client or server side? If we make it client side, all of the potential child components would be client side as well.
One question right
Yes.
now. Do you already understand how this is protected? Like, so it's getting the user?
Yeah,
If it's
that
not,
looks
that's it.
exactly. So if there is no user, it simply redirects you to the sign-in page.
Oh, because so I was wondering if there's like a provider on the layout, involved in something here, or what's the protection mechanism? But so this should always
Exactly.
stay in place.
Now, I'm thinking if you have many pages and routes in your app, you would probably end up repeating this piece of code quite a bit. So that's probably why we might end up with something like a wrapper for this, so that you can kind of say if you have been authenticated on the books page, you can also go to like books/ID with that same user. But I think that's really all the magic there is.
Okay, we don't have to do this now, but I'll just, add like a little
Ooh, yeah.
extract this into a sub layout. So, because like we have a layout, that's this, but that is everything, right? Like that's also
Yeah.
the public part and the theme switcher. And here we can see all of the providers going on and so on. So I guess we can have like an inherited layout where we can just chuck on this piece or something like this, right? So
Yeah.
whenever this is a subroute of books, it does this in the background. That's what you
Exactly.
mean, right?
That would be nice. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's leave that piece and let's go here. Let's create that client, I guess.
It's already there because we already have the Supabase instance for the auth stuff.
It's the same client.
So you really only need those 2 lines of code, I think. And then just replace notes with books.
Like this.
Like this.
Okay, good. Let's put it here, I guess, like that. And then what? JSON. Yeah. Thank you, Copilot. No books.
Okay, can you open your DevTools, the console?
Here we go. Should I maybe just like...
Did it give you anything? No, right?
No. Like the first thing that I always do is like this. Like,
Sure.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Ooh, oops. Oh, okay. Fine. Oh, yeah, fine. Sorry. I got all excited. But yeah, there's nothing.
There's nothing. That's... And I expected there would be at least an error. But yeah, let's do
see.
the row level stuff.
Let's do the row level stuff. I was afraid that you were going to be right.
Do you see this button, Add RLS Policy? It's right next to the, big green insert.
RLS is enabled for this table, but no policies are set.
And that's the part that we're missing. So then you're gonna go and click create policy.
What's this one? Oh, create with
Ooh,
the Supabase
let's
system.
try it. Let's try this.
I love
We're
that you're
gonna
into
take
this
all
stuff
the assistance we can get.
Oh man, did you see? Like it slides over the entire thing. Oh, okay.
Just ask it to create a RLS policy to allow all CRUD operations for authenticated users.
Authenticated users.
Sure. Here, create, read, update, delete. That's right.
Can you believe that it's not 2 years since the launch of ChatGPT? Oh, I think it came out in December, end of November. And this is our experience
right?
now.
It's wild.
This is nuts. I think this is absolutely super nuts. So create policy allowed SuperBase on example table. All right. So we're going to change that to books.
Yeah.
Select policy. For update, create. Amazing. Okay. Apply changes. Copy code. Apply changes.
Sure.
Woof.
And then just, replace example table with books.
I also love that VS Code is so wildly popular that I automatically, whenever I see the code editor anywhere, I just try if I can press Command D.
Yeah.
And it just works most of the times. I think it's nuts.
Nice.
That's it?
Cool. That looks good, I think. Yeah, just try it. Save policy.
Delete, insert, select, update.
And then just try reloading the page, I think, and see if we get data now.
Really?
I would try it.
No! There's... This is so
I told
cool.
you this is what's missing.
so
And the cool thing is that's one thing I want to point out. In season 1,
Oh my
we
God.
gave, in this row level security policy, we gave CRUD access to everyone because we did not have authentication. So now we said only authenticated users can see this, which is great. Yeah, which we
This
couldn't do
is
in
so
season 1,
cool.
right?
It is completely nuts. I mean, this is... I'm... No. Yes, we are very happy with this template. Thank you.
Yes.
And now we're moving on. Like, so let's sign in. And we probably...
We need, I guess there was a redirect somewhere to the protected page.
Yeah. Here. So let's just let's go YOLO, search and replace all. We're probably going to regret this. I'm still going to do it. Okay.
Leave it in.
Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Oh, no. Oh, sign in. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Sign in. Books. Boom. I love it. I love it. This is so cool. Like, we have
Right?
everything here. And it's amazingly fast, too. I mean, so cool. So
I'm really
cool.
happy with this. I think this is kind of where we wanted to go today. I would, if I'm being completely honest, especially since we said we want to make this whole thing a little bit more production ready, I would love to kind of stick to this service pattern that's quite common usually for full stack applications. So kind of move the whole Supabase stuff into a service file. We would probably, in our case, have only one service, which is the books service. But this whole like create client Supabase stuff, I would love to maybe next week move that into its own little service file to keep the code a little bit clean. But that's it really. And then I think we can think about how we are gonna get our components over from the old SPA application. Yeah, discuss all these things. What's going to be client side? What's going to be server side? How is the whole routing going to change? So we had like a lot of pop-up modals and overlays in the first version, which probably will now be replaced with like sub-routes instead.
Exactly.
I think that's where we can continue.
That is so cool. This is such a little thing, but I'm like, it feels like our app is a little thing, of course. I mean, it's CRUD for a bunch of books, you know?
Yeah.
But we said it a million times now, but this boilerplate is really cool. Like, so we were just able, including a custom-made access policy for the table, to set all of that stuff up while being super excited on camera, right? And to just do this and have authenticated data coming from like a cloud-hosted database. This is really awesome. I think this is really awesome. And now I'm curious to see what we're gonna do, right? Like with all of our, as you said, our no routes, one single page application laziness going on from the first episode, a season. And I really like that we're gonna have a page for a book. So, you know, you can just also share that resource and, I don't know, open it in new tabs and all of that sort of browser stuff that we all know and love. And then I'm also curious to see what we're going to do on top of that. Because I kind of, from this experience, I have to say, I feel empowered to do stuff now. I kind of want more tables now.
But that's the point. Of course, our little bookshelf application is a small thing. And the whole point is to keep it simple and start with one super simple, easy table. But what's stopping us from creating more tables or really making this into a production app? Because we have everything we need. One thing that just came to my mind also, we now have users. So right now we have this one books table. We don't even save the user who created the book, because in the first version we didn't have users or authentication. So basically, if I create a book, you're going to see it, and vice versa. So that's something we can add. We can kind of, do like the whole foreign key thing, which with like which user created the book, and then make sure that you can only see your own books. And yeah, there's like so many things we can do right now. Super
Very
exciting.
cool.
Yeah.
And in this whole, enabling probably like I feel I never felt really enabled to work full stack. Like I can do a lot of, for a designer person, I can do a lot of things, I feel, and that's great. But I think whenever it started to involve real databases, like setting up all of that stuff, I immediately had this thought in my mind of like, it would be better to have Judith here. It's like, I'm definitely going to screw this up, and I'm definitely going to forget stuff. And so I felt like we do a lot of website projects on Sanity, for example, and they come from a different angle. Like you can model any sort of content, but the two different approaches, like a content management system where you kind of define the schema, is something else than just making tables.
Yeah.
But the two approaches, like I feel they're coming closer together.
Yeah.
And I felt safe in Sanity land because I was sort of just describing the schema in JSON files. And, that was I couldn't destroy it really. And with Supabase, I start to feel the same way,
Because it is the same thing, essentially. Like the way we just created this table, what did we do? We thought about which columns do we need, which is essentially like what schema does our book look like. We thought about like, is this text or is this a number? So that's essentially what we did, defining a schema. And then what I love about Supabase is that they give you sensible defaults in a way. So for example, that they say, hey, by default, we're going to add this row level security thing. We're also going to explain to you what that means. So even like front endies like ourselves understand it. I think that's really cool. And the default is to enable this extra layer of protection. You can turn it off if you want. But that's what I like. And yeah, I think databases don't have to be scary anymore. You don't have to write SQL queries. You still can. But you can also do it like this and ask the friendly AI assistant what exactly is going on. So I think that's super cool. It really makes the whole full stack development thing so much more accessible for more people, more developers.
I agree. I start to feel full stack.
Yes!
And I never believed in the term, I have to say. It's Anyway, so very cool. So next episode, let's actually assign data to users. I think that's very important before we forget it. That this data is now for every user account. So we can totally do this. And then let's start to bring over components, right?
Yeah.
Our beloved star rating component. And good stuff like that. And let's take it from there. Yeah.
Cool.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for watching. We had another very fun episode. I hope you liked this one. And as always, if you have any questions, any suggestions, if you want to see us try something that you're scared to try it yourself, I don't know, something like this, let us know. Let us know in the comments. Thanks, Judith, for coming on and for doing this show with me.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.